Welcome to the October 5th edition of the Town of Groton Golf Advisory Board. First order of business is approval of the minutes from September 14th. Everybody had a chance to review them. Any questions?
Hello.
I mean, obviously wasn't there, so I can't really comment on it, but I did see the issue of the meeting being hacked. So was that because we just didn't have security passcodes before?
Something like that. Yes.
I think we had the assumption that there were good folk that were wanting to edit the meeting, and that certainly was not the case.
And just to let, well, actually, I think I may have sent an email out, but the staff at the library was able to edit out that whole conversation. So that was not put out anywhere that anybody could see.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gary has his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Gary. Yes.
Yes, I wasn't listed as an attendee at the last meeting. I was sitting quietly, so
So you were at the meeting.
I was there listening quietly, lurking.
Okay. Then we would have to add, I guess, add you to the minutes.
You don't have to. I'll be okay.
Well,
Good.
if you were there, we ought to recognize that. So I will make that change to the minutes. And I think David asked that question as we were corresponding back and forth about the minutes. So I will make that update.
Excellent. I did not remember that, Dave, when I read the minutes. So. Okay. So if that being the only comment or change, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Minutes accepted. Okay. Citizens petitions and comments. Next agenda item.
Just to bring everybody up to date, this kind of goes back to a citizen's comment made a number of months ago having to do with the trees along the 12th green. Last week, the town put in 10 trees along that section. If Eric is there, I can't recall this. I think we got
Whole 11.
whole 11.
Yeah, we have more than 10.
Yeah, it was red maples and
Hornbeams.
hornbeams. Thank you.
And moonbeams?
Hornbeams.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes, moonbeams.
Moonbeams and unicorns. Yes.
They are pretty trees, just for the record.
And Public Works still has some work to do to come back. They've got some more stumps to grind, but right now they're in the midst of, I think, finishing up their paving. So they have that on their list of things to do. And Eric had mentioned putting in some mulch around some of the trees and trying to dress it up. And yeah,
I think it looks great.
I think it looks really nice.
It's going to be a while before it's blocking balls from hitting the houses, but it's a start.
Well, the good news is the neighbors can now plan their own landscaping.
Yep. Yeah. So at least they can get a sense of what it is gonna take and how long it's gonna take to provide complete protection. Or at least mostly protected. So, now, Eric, it looks really nice. They did a nice job.
Thank you.
And I like the difference in color along the way. It's very kaleidoscope-like. Excellent. Any other citizens petitions or comments? Okay, that being said, any new correspondence or communications from board members?
Yes, Margaret, I have a couple, 3 things actually.
Okay, Cindy?
All right. Number one, about the carts. I use a cart every time I play. And like 95% of the time, they are very, very clean. And that's very nice. It's a very big change from last year. I hope this continues next year, even if we're beyond the virus. The process that they're using of cleaning the carts is excellent. And I thank you for that. The second thing I want to talk about is the condition of the golf course. Considering what we've been through this summer, I consider us in excellent shape. Other golf courses in the area have some severe problems, but I haven't noticed any area that I couldn't play out of with grass. So congratulations to Eric. You did a hell of a job. The next thing I want to talk
Thank
about
you.
is what, you're welcome. The next thing I want to talk about is what I brought up at the last meeting, and that's mosquitoes on number 8. I did a little bit of research. I finally found a site, which I tried to forward both to Eric and to Mark, but I never could do it. I have printed it off and I will get them to you. But it is not against the rules to spray if you're a member of the Audubon Sanctuary Program. And I talked with Eric about this, and he has a license to spray. So I did also call the town and talk to a Joe Blanchard from the Ledgelight Health District, who is the one that goes out and helps with mosquitoes. Our area is far too large for him. They do 400 square feet. He told me he would go to somebody's yard with a swampy area or something and treat it. And they don't spray. They use something called a larvicide. And it is applied in April. And I hope we would consider this for our area down in back of number 8 and around number 8 T's, to have Eric put down that larvicide in April to prevent the mosquitoes. He did state he didn't know if his license covered that. He is licensed to do other things on the golf course, obviously, because we see the signs where he's put down whatever he puts down besides fertilizer. So he'd have to check that out. But it's a larvicide, and it's in a tablet form, and you put it in the water. And it supposedly prevents them from hatching. So that's all I got to say right now. And I will bring it up again in the winter. Hopefully we can get this done.
Debbie doesn't know she's on TV now. Cindy, nice job. How about anything on the porta potties at all, or is that put to bed or what?
Are you asking me, Dave?
Not really, no.
Thank you. Good.
Did anybody, go, I'm sorry. Has anybody investigated where that stands at all?
Where what stands, Dave?
Well, there was a report last week or last meeting that the porta potty on 7/8 was quite dirty and quite full. And I understand you have a schedule for them, but something else may be affecting the volume of whatever in the porta potty, and that I think should be at least addressed and hopefully reconciled if we can.
The incident that was reported last meeting sounded like a one-off thing.
Okay.
So like I had said, maybe the kids have vandalized it. So I don't know if you guys have been in there since. Has it been dirty or has it been clean? I mean, it doesn't get a ton of traffic, so it's more than adequate 2 times cleaning per week to keep it up.
Okay. And against my better judgment, I will go do that. Make sure it's being maintained properly.
Well, Cindy or Margaret, have you used it since the last meeting?
Oh, yes.
I have not.
And
I'll tell you, I never, number 8 is usually, Eric was very smart in that he had Tuesday, which is Ladies' Day. It is clean that morning, which is a very smart move. And I believe the schedule is Tuesday, Friday.
that's correct.
Yeah. So Tuesday, when the ladies play Ladies' Day and we go through, things are pretty good. On Sunday, I will tell you, number 15 often leaves something to be desired.
Oh yeah, that one is the only one on the course that gets some public
Oh,
attention
definitely.
as well. Like walking on the
Definitely.
sidewalk, they go down and use it.
Yep. Even though you've got it hidden now, it's much better now that it's hidden. But
Yeah, some people around the neighborhood still know it's there.
yeah, I'm sure of it. And I'm hoping when it comes budget time again, that the change and development on number 8 for something more positive than a porta potty is considered again. As a CIPD in the past, it has just been passed over. I don't know how much it costs you to do all of the estimates that you've done in the past. You've done 3, 4, maybe even 5. I'm not sure at this point. In order to make that plausible. But I hope it does become plausible next spring.
Okay.
Cindy, I just wanted to follow up a little bit with, Margaret, I just wanted to follow up with what Cindy had mentioned earlier. I too did a little bit of research. I reached out to Ledgelight Health District, found out about the lava dunks, also had called them to see if they could set up any traps to determine if there was mosquitoes that we needed to worry about. And they said, they referred me to the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, who I reached out to them, and they responded that they don't have the resources or the manpower to respond to individual or community complaints. And I had also corresponded with Cindy a couple of times and explained to her that that area next to the 8th tee is an environmentally sensitive area, and that we likely would not spray because spraying kills other invertebrates and pollinators, and that's something that we don't really want to do. The next step for us is to reach out to Conservation and Wetlands in the city, because that is on city property, just to see what requirements there are for us to put those lava dunks into the water, which keep the lava from becoming adults and reproducing. So that will take place. I think this year there was only 2 reported incidents of mosquitoes with EEE in, I think it was Stonington. So hopefully we'll have more to update at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you both and everybody else who's investigating that issue.
And there are, just to point out, there are things that there's recommendations to avoid the possibility of getting bitten by a mosquito. So I would suggest that folks, perhaps update themselves on that. Includes not being out between dusk and dawn, using mosquito repellent, and wearing long pants and light colored, loose fitting clothing. Also, all of those steps will help prevent anybody from contracting EEE.
Okay. And then I just have one thing as a board member to contribute, and that is that the women's group, the Shinnecosta Women's Golf Association, just completed their season. And the feedback, to mirror what, or echo what Cindy said, the feedback has been very positive. Everybody had a great year, even though the year was a little bit shortened and a little bit kind of disjointed because of all of the things going on in the world. And in particular, I want to thank the men's club for the investment into the lifters on the flag sticks. That has proved to be very helpful for a lot of the women who were a little bit uncomfortable. We have a few that are immunocompromised, and so that was very helpful in getting a full complement of women out playing on a fairly regular basis during the week. So thank you very much to the men's club for that contribution to the summer.
You're welcome. I will pass that on.
Okay. So that's what board members, any other board members? Okay. With that said, we'll move on to the reports. The first one being the golf course report.
Very good month, as you can see.
Yes.
We'll take a look at that.
Very
Just something very significant and as a result of a policy that we had changed. As you can see, fiscal year to date, we have 16 new members. Fiscal year to date, that's July 1. We had 6 new members in September. Never, ever saw that. Never. We have, so far in this month, we have 5 new members.
Wow.
And why that's great, beside the revenue, obviously the revenue stream, but when you sign up somebody in our fiscal year, you take away that member from any other golf course. They're not joining any other golf course. They've joined us and they're going to play us until their membership expires, which is 1 year. And so hat tip to Eric, who had that brainchild. I don't know where he came, where he came to that from, but there we are. And as you can see on the fiscal year to date, compared with the prior fiscal year to date, we're doing quite well. And last year being a very good year. So this year is even better.
And Mark, we did include the June report you had asked for. So I don't know if you had any questions specific to the June report, would essentially be the end of the fiscal year.
Right. I mean, so that even shows the increase in the memberships at all levels, which I think is great. So thank you very much for pulling that together. Because it does help a lot with some of the things that we were wondering about, or at least I was wondering about.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the report, Mr. Goodhue. I was just curious, when I'm looking at the season passes, you have 10 youth limited memberships. And what is the age range on that? Is that teenagers?
No, up to student age, 21.
Okay, so then do you think, I'm just curious why there's so many. It's wonderful that there's so many, but I'm wondering if it's people,
And 2 more today.
I'm sorry,
We had
2 more
3
today?
new
Excellent.
today.
I wonder if it has to do with the fact that their other sports are not being played. And so they're picking up on golf, and that's wonderful if it is, because then if you can foster that, then, you can keep them year after year. I was just curious if you knew had any feedback.
Just anecdotal. I mean, Margaret was nodding her head, and I would agree with her sentiment that yeah, I mean, golf can be played, and we're a bargain, and I think that we're getting a non-Tiger bounce because we're getting a COVID bounce, I would say, and it's great to see. We had 2 more members sign up today, junior members.
Yeah. But I think that's a great observation, Madam Mayor. I think the fact that kids cannot play their sports, and, in a lot of cases, parents want to get them out doing something, or they want to be able to get out. This is a great alternative. It is one of the few things that can still be done. You can compete and play and have fun, which is what you're aiming to do anyway. So that's a great observation.
Non-Tiger, meaning not related to Tiger Woods?
Yeah.
Correct. When Tiger came on the scene in 97, 98, we saw a tremendous uptick. I think in 2000, 2001, we had over 50 junior members. That was incredible. And it continued for 4 or 5 years, whatever, then it started to wane. And but that's referred in the golf industry, that's referred to as a Tiger bounce. And obviously we're seeing, with the increase in membership across the board, we're seeing unfortunately a COVID bounce.
So I'm just curious, I don't want to belabor this and take too much of your time, but is this you're saying across the board, you're seeing a COVID bounce? Is it other golf clubs in the area also seeing a jump in youth members as well, or is it unique to Groton?
I have not reached out to our competition and to friends of mine to ask that specific question, but I would assume so. I know that everybody is just flat out busy. There are some golf courses that are having some issues with their maintenance, and that's an anomaly. But as a whole, the golf industry is just crazy busy. I mean, the NGF has does some reporting in August, which is the most current tabulation of information across the country. In August alone, the country was up over 20% in participation and rounds played. For the year, participation is up almost 7%. It's like 6.3, 6.4% or what have you. So we're seeing a tremendous resurgence of golf participation, where over the last 10 years, there's been a slippery decline in participation up until this year. And it's good to see. Unfortunately, the circumstances that from which we're benefiting is regrettable, but from a business standpoint and from a sport standpoint, it's great.
Thank you.
And I think one of the other really encouraging signs is, if you look at the June report, is the number of associate and associate plus players. And, you know, that has grown. We introduced that 2 years ago, and that has grown considerably. And, you know, what's encouraging to me is that, you know, once we have these players, and I think unless we really do a terrible job, we will have those players for quite a long time. And so, you know, we're working to we're reducing the average age of the players across the board, which I think is a very good sign, because up until the last couple of years, the average age was trending further and further up because there wasn't some of those younger players coming on board. So I think this speaks well for the future of golf at Shinnecossett.
I would agree. Any additional questions on the course reports? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the marketing report.
So I had invited Jessica Patterson to join in. I asked her to join in at about 6:30. So we're running just a couple of minutes ahead of time. So
Right.
I don't know, Todd, if you want to lead us in songs or something for the next 4 minutes.
Giving it.
Yeah, so hopefully we see somebody popping up trying to join in, and Jessica's the community outreach coordinator for the town, and she's worked with Todd and Eric on a couple of different campaigns. Last year we tried to focus on breaking some of the myths associated with golf, you know, that it's expensive, there's too many rules, you know, there's a very stringent dress code, and we tried to address all of those different fallacies about golf through various social media campaigns. And this year, I guess thanks to COVID, we didn't have to, everybody was coming to us without us really having to reach out, but that doesn't mean that work wasn't taking place. And earlier this year, and I think I mentioned this in a previous meeting, Sean from the library, who is the video specialist, was able to get some drone footage of the golf course, which normally would not be possible because we're in the flight path of the airport, but the airport was paving and there was no planes coming in or out. So we were able to get some footage that we wouldn't normally have been able to get. And I know Jessica was out there again this past week and spent a few hours with Sean, but I don't want to say any more because
Steal her thunder.
she's much more eloquent at this than I am. So hopefully she'll be joining us. I may just jump out, grab my phone and text her to let her know we're running a couple of minutes ahead.
There was a camera crew on the golf course last Thursday.
Yeah, that was the group. It was
Yeah.
Jessica and Sean and Sean's assistant, Shane.
Liam.
Yeah. Liam, yes.
I'll add in something since we have some time. Someone reported to me, they play other courses and they play Shinnecossett, that Shinnecossett is in much better shape than some of the other places they've been playing. So kudos to staff for that.
No, absolutely. Yeah, even without any rain in August, right, Eric? No rain?
Very little. We're actually still in drought conditions right now, but we did get a half an inch of rain this morning, which was very nice.
That's good. And the greens are healing up quickly, which is nice.
Yep, they're almost there. Hopefully they rolled well for the challenge this past weekend.
Certainly went my way.
They went my opponent's way big time. No, they were in great shape.
All right, I was able to get a hold of Jessica, and she is trying to log in right now.
Cool.
Attendees 2. Patterson. Promote to panelist. All right, Jessica.
Hey, Jessica, welcome.
There she is. And she has herself muted.
Yeah, she's on mute.
Oh, hi guys.
Hey.
How are ya?
You think I would have figured out Zoom by now, right? How's everybody's night going?
So far, so good.
Great. So,
Good.
Jess, just to let you know, I talked a little bit. I was trying to kill some time. I talked a little bit about what you had done last year in trying to address some of the fallacies around golf, and that it's too expensive, and there's a very rigid dress code, and some of those. And so I kind of just reviewed that, and then talked a little bit about the fact that we were able to get some drone video earlier in the year, and that's where I left it off. So I'll let
Okay,
you.
great. Okay, so one of the things, and I believe we had talked about this at a GAB meeting at the time, but that Mark had kind of tasked me with was, so to Mark's point, there were kind of some assumed inaccuracies about golf that, you have to, one, that's expensive, two, that it's bad for the environment, and three, that it's really only for kind of people of a certain age. And last year we had consistently running 3 different social media campaigns addressing all of those things. So for example, one of them was, and Mark and I had worked to kind of come up with some fun taglines, but play more, pay less, or one of the, something like that. But we also put a primary focus on how, the golf course, especially our golf course, is not in fact bad for the environment, with the Autobahn and the butterfly kind of connection there. So I think we did a pretty good job of getting those 3 things across, both on social media and the e-newsletters that would get sent out through the Parks and Recreation Department. We would always include something about Shinnecock, and it was usually addressing one of those 3 points. And then we had another idea of, well, wouldn't it be great is if we could have video to kind of go along with it? Because people like people, right? They like to be able to share, like to be able to see themselves, etc. But wouldn't it be great if we could say do that in different avenues other than just social media and GMTV, YouTube, Groton Municipal Television and YouTube? So one of the things that we talked about, and Mark, I'm sorry, but I don't remember if we approached them or if they approached us, but somehow we found out that like the Mystic Movie Theater, they have commercials that there are for like local organizations before the movie starts. And there's a number of other movie theaters, not that people are going to movie theaters right now because of COVID, but that will do the same thing. You just have to be able to present to them a few different video options. So like a 30-second, a 90-second, and then a 2-minute. So we started talking with Sean over at GMTV. So he's both the videographer, and then he also really kind of handles everything to do with video services for the town, him and Liam O'Donnell. And they called me during COVID back in maybe end of March, beginning of April, and they were like, hey, it's kind of a crazy situation, but the airport's closed, and we just reached out to them, and they gave us permission to shoot drone video at Shinnecock. Now, normally Shinnecock is a no-fly zone because of the proximity to the Groton New London Airport, but with this, Sean, Liam, and I scooted right down, and we got some really awesome views, not only of like kind of the more popular holes like the 16, but also just kind of the entire landscape. I'm not sure if we've shared those out previously, but I do have, the photos are huge, like the file sizes are huge, big enough that we can make billboards if we wanted to. So we were able to get a lot of great landscape shots, a lot of very detailed shots, and from the cool perspective of being, 15, 30, 45, even 70 feet up. So Sean and I started talking and we're like, man, this is great, but it doesn't really showcase how beautiful the grounds actually are. It showcases the kind of cool dynamic features of the course, but not like the luscious greens and kind of the butterfly bushes and all of those things. So we were able to, Sean and Liam and I went down to Shenny last week and we were able to borrow 2 of the carts from the clubhouse, and we drove around the entire golf course and got video, and of course video release signatures of everybody that we got likenesses of. We got a lot of different groups though, so different ages, different ethnic backgrounds, men and women, and then just a solo group of women that were out golfing. So we're going to use that footage to stitch it together so that way we can accomplish still sticking with those 3 goals of it's affordable, it's good for the environment, or at least it's not detrimental to the environment, and it's really an anybody's game. With the goal of making the 30-second, the 90-second, the 2-minute, and the other addition that we were thinking about is doing a longer form video that we could say share with the EB Athletic Club. Or Mark had mentioned to me about Women in Defense, the New England Shoreline group. So I'd reached out to them. But one of the things that would be great to showcase Shinnecossett is to literally have a video that, we can post out on YouTube and I can send along a link with, or anybody can send along a link with, say, hey, if you really want to get kind of the feel of Shinnecossett, check this out, depending on whatever the theme is or the primary focus is. So that's kind of a little bit of background on what we've done so far. But one of the things that I would be really interested hearing from you guys is, what, especially because Mark had shared that kind of the really exciting news about how membership spiked up this year and kind of all of the great stuff that goes along with that. But I'm wondering, other than those 3 points of it's a game for everybody, it's an affordable game, and it's something that's not detrimental to the environment, and it's also with the millennial focus and with the women focus, are there any other things that, themes or topics that we could include in kind of this video series that we're going to be working on? Because once we get them rolling, obviously we want to share them out to everyone, just to kind of get your feedback and thoughts. But then also, if there's different groups that you guys are part of separately or organizations that you're aware of that we can send the videos out to, just to kind of start having those conversations. I want to know so I can kind of make a list and just make sure that we don't miss anybody. But that's kind of where we are right now with the marketing, specifically with the video project.
It's a game for life.
Oh, I love that. Hold on. Pen. It's a game for life. Heck yeah. Oh, that would have been great too with kind of pulling in like the multi-generational crowds. Okay, got it. Noted. Thank you.
Most of us back in the day, we learned from our grandfather or from our father. So you have multi-generations playing together. You have husbands and wives that started playing in their 20s and they play in their 80s. I mean, it's a game for life, and that's
A family game. It's a family game. Can be a family game too.
Oh, I love that too. Okay. All right. So we got a family game, game for life, and that definitely addresses a number of those things. What about, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's also a game that is multi-generational. I play with my sons now. I mean, it's a game that you can play with other people your own age or whatever, but it's also, you can play with your adult sons.
And daughters.
Hmm.
I don't have any of them, but
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Crosses generations.
Yeah.
And I think another thing to point out is there's a men's group and there's a women's group, a ladies group at the golf course. And Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your age range goes from something like 19 to probably 70 or 75, 80, maybe a little bit older.
Oh,
Ours
wow.
goes from mid 20s to 85.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
There are two well-established groups at the golf course that also can allow for additional camaraderie, multi-generational, meeting people from all walks of life, and opportunity to play and compete if that's what they choose to do.
So that one of the things that I'm wondering about. Remember I had said earlier that people like to see people that they know or just themselves, because like that's really why social media is so successful. I'm wondering, and it doesn't have to be for all of the videos, but if you guys have any, whether it's from like the women's league or the men's league, or just kind of players that you know that you think would be a good fit, just kind of personality wise, and someone who's comfortable speaking in front of a camera. One of the things that we could do too, if you could send either Mark or either names, and preferably like an email or a phone number, I can reach out to them and just have set up some time with Sean where we can go back to Shinnecock, meet them on the course, get them mic'd up, and then get some kind of personal testimonials of somebody saying, you know, my husband and I have been playing golf field for the past, 30 or 40 years, and now we play with our adult children, or, something along those lines, because it comes off much more authentic if we have someone give their personal experience of what we're trying to get across, as opposed to us just saying, hey, this is a golf is for life, this is multi-generational game. So if you guys can think of anybody that you think might kind of fit the bill for that, that is definitely something that we would like to include in it, is just kind of the personal testimonials for sure.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be tonight, but just kind of and it could literally be at any point. You're like, oh, I was just talking to so-and-so and I think they'd be great. Just let me know and I can kind of get everything set up from there.
How do we make that contact here? Because I was talking to our postman in Old Mystic. He's manages the post office, and he said he went out with his daughter, who's I think teenager, maybe preteen, but she's quite young, and had a great time. So, how do they get in touch with you on this?
So for something like that, if you have Mark's information, you can definitely send it to him and he'll shoot it over to me. Or it's the same process for anybody in the town. So it would just be the first name. The first letter of the first name. So my email address would be J Patterson. So JPATTERSON. But what I can do too is I'll get everyone's emails from Mark tomorrow, and I'll send everybody out an email just kind of recapping what we talked about for this section, for like the marketing. So that way you can just forward my information or give me their information and I can reach out, whatever's more convenient for you.
I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Okay, great. That would be a perfect example.
Yeah, he said his daughter had a great time.
That's awesome. And then the other thing to always just remind everyone, because Eric does a great job of sharing out like a lot of the interesting things on social media. So like the Throwback Thursdays, a lot of the wildlife related things. So I always encourage anyone whenever I'm talking to them about Shinnecock is I just ask them, like, do you use Facebook? And 9 times out of 10 people say yes. And if they do, then I'll just ask them if they like or follow Shinnecock, and 9 times out of 10 they say yes. And if they don't say yes, then I'll just let them know that we try to share updated information, especially anything around COVID, protocols, procedures, especially when there was like a lot of changes that were happening. But also just to remind people, if golf is your thing and you want to learn some interesting stuff about it, we do have like a legendary historic course. So it could be something that, whether it's trivia information or it might be, a fun picture or whatnot. And Eric always does a great job with that. So. But yeah, so I typically just ask everybody.
Will do.
Great, thank you. So Mark, did I cover all of the big stuff that we were looking for?
You did an excellent job. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Does anybody else have any questions that I can help out with?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay, then if you guys don't mind, I taught a yoga class tonight. That's why my video isn't on, because half of my hair is plastered to my head. The other half of my hair is everywhere. So I'm going to go jump in the shower now. But thank you guys so much. And if anything comes up, just give me a holler. And go Shenny.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night.
Night.
Okay, any other questions or thoughts on that? Hearing none, our next meeting is on November 2nd, Monday. Kind of an eventful day before. But, all right, there are no concerns. Can I get a motion to, or if there's no other business, a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, meeting, all those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Margaret, before you
Yeah.
go, did the other young lady show up or not?
No, she did not.
I don't want another Gary Wells on my conscience.
Angela did not show up.
Okay.
Mr. Morrison?
Yes.
Hey,
Oh, there you
I saw your email regarding Columbus Day, and I don't know if you saw my reply or not.
I did not.
Okay, so I am not available during the day except for holidays and weekends. So we'll have to pick another time. The Thursday and Fridays of this week, and now actually the Friday of this week and the Thursday and Friday of next would work. I have a meeting on this Thursday though as well. So let me know what works for you, and I'll do my best to get there, but I definitely cannot do it during the day once the school year has started. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, no problem. I'll look at it again and I'll shoot you an email.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, good night.
Bye.
Mark, you still there?
I am, Dave.
The drone thing, would that be considered in the previous discussion we've had relative to putting it in like a pamphlet on Shinnecock? You remember those discussions?
Drone footage in a pamphlet?
Well, it would be like on the scorecard or something like that, or some, we had talked about that previously. I just didn't know if Jessica's output could be, sent off that way to give somebody to look at and.
Oh, to create a link? And,
Yeah.
and
something
oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, that's easy enough to do. Create a link to
Okay.
to that drone footage once it's all pulled together.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
And we could even try to target the different, I don't think she said how many hours of footage they have, but it's a considerable amount. And I think they can kind of cut and paste different pieces to create different videos that target different, they can do one to, if they wanted to target women playing golf, they could, I think they have enough footage where they could create one where, like we discussed tonight, the intergenerational video could be created. And I think they've got enough material to create probably 3 or 4 kind of theme-based short videos. And even just a general one about Shinnecock, which we could perhaps use once the local movie theater opens up, the one in Mystic.
Mystic, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a
So
visitor.
there we go. We got a visitor.
Yes.
This is Annie.
Who?
Aw.
Annie.
Annie. Oh, okay.
Got her on Karen's and my anniversary.
Oh,
But I talked to Margaret so often about her and the other kitties. And
Oh.
that's why I had to get up several times to open up the door because this one was pawing at the door.
Oh, okay.
She knows a Zoom session when she sees one.
Yes.
That's very cool. She's a
Yeah.
beautiful cat.
She is. 8 pounds of terror.
Yep.
All right, if we're done, you have any more animals? Anything else, Todd, to show us?
More cats I could drag out, but we'll do that for another time, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to hit the end button and say goodbye to everybody.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.